Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing Role Playing by Cathy Yardley. This is what the cover looks like, and boy was this book a major disappointment. Let's discuss. So I'm not a romance reader and this is a romance book. If the cover didn't give it away already, we have some people snuggling up. And that being said, just because romance isn't my favorite genre doesn't mean I never read it, and every year for Valentine's Day I try to take a couple romance books and read just to get in the spirit of the holiday. So this was on my list. I had heard people talk about it, I had heard it advertised in a couple places, so I thought it might be interesting because the premise intrigued me. The premise is we have two older adults, so we're not talking about people in their late 20s or people in college. This isn't really YA. They're people who are in their late 40s to early 50s who are both finding themselves in a difficult life situation. And I really liked that the premise included older adults, people who kind of had established lives who were falling in love, and there was a little bit of a nerdy element in there, and I thought this might be my cup of tea, even though I don't normally read romance. Unfortunately, I had major problems with this book, and I did not enjoy it at all, but first, let's discuss the plot, and then I will tell you exactly where I think this book went wrong. The plot of this book revolves around, of course, our two protagonists who are going to fall in love in every single romance book. We have Maggie here and Aiden, who is this guy here. Maggie is kind of feeling like she doesn't have a place in life anymore ever since she has sent her son off to college. She has had a divorce from her husband, who it sounds like was not very nice of a person, and she works from home as an editor, so she doesn't really have a lot of opportunities to socialize. She, however, is kind of drawn into maybe trying to put herself out there, not necessarily in the dating sense. She's very clear that she does not date, but in the sense that maybe she should go outside the house once in a while, and she knows that she needs to get out and set a good example for her son Kit, who is in college, who she wants to show that you should keep a social life up. It's very important to keep a social life up. So she has all of that going on, kind of a transitional phase in life. And then we have Aiden, who is our male protagonist here. He has come back to this small town where they're both from, where his mother is kind of struggling with aging. So he initially moved back to this town because his father had passed away. Now his mother is aging. He has a brother who isn't really helping with his mother and taking care of his mother. And there's a little wrinkle that his brother is actually marrying his ex, which is kind of a bad thing to do, I feel like. Maybe if everyone was cool with it, it was fine, but it sounds like not everyone's cool with it, and this is kind of stressful and wearing on him. And Aiden has not put himself out there in a long time, and we have these two older individuals who are in more difficult situations in their point in life, or they're in transitional or different situations than they found themselves in before. These aren't 20-year-olds is what I'm trying to say. These are not 20-year-olds at their first job falling in love. These are grown adults in their 40s and 50s, established adults, I should say, who are, going to meet and fall in love. They meet playing an online video game. Aiden and Maggie are in the same guild in this online video game, and it's a local guild, so they know they're in the area. Aiden winds up hurting his foot doing some sort of construction thing that I felt like was a little contrived, and then Maggie has to come over and help take care of him because she feels like protective, and they actually did not realize that they were close in age when they met on the online guild. She thought that he was a college student, and Maggie was portraying herself as like an 80-year-old grandma, sort of accidentally, so when they meet, they realize that they're at the same age, and of course sparks start to fly as they begin to fall for one another. You can kind of see where this is going. Unfortunately, I did not like this book, and I think I was so upset because I had such high hopes and high expectations for this book. I really wanted to like it. I like the fact that we had older adults, which I don't always see represented in romance books. I feel like that tends to be a genre where the protagonists tend to skew younger. I could be wrong. I don't read a lot of romance, so I like that. I like the fact that they're bonding over video games, they're a little nerdier, and I just want these two people to find happiness. They've been through some tough stuff in their lives. The first 25% was really interesting. I liked the first 25%. I liked the fact that they were in this guild together, but probably about 25% of the way in, this book just fell off a cliff for me for some reason. Well, not for some reason. I know why, and it's the dialogue. I feel like dialogue isn't always the best in romance books. It's very sometimes stilted, contrived, but I was reading dialogue in this book and thinking no one actually talks like this. No one talks like this. I feel like I'm reading articles online, if that makes sense. I don't feel like I'm talking to a person. This is not how people talk with one another. It was a very bizarre conversation pattern, and I feel like these people would get stuck on topics and just endlessly talk about them, and the conversations never went anywhere, and they were so stilted and so contrived, and I've never heard anyone talk like that in real life. And there was also this whole, so besides the dialogue, which was very bad in my opinion, and just so bad that it kind of overshadowed the rest of the book, there was this whole subplot where Cheryl, I should say, is Aiden's ex, who's now marrying his brother Davy. So we have Aiden, the main male protagonist, Davy, who is Aiden's brother, and Cheryl, who used to be dating Aiden, but is now dating Davy. And there was this tension that you could understand that somehow Cheryl had done something really bad to Aiden, and it was still gnawing at everyone, and there was drama, and she was, of course, marrying his brother, so it was very like, ooh, this is kind of controversial. And first of all, Cheryl's like comes across very rude and not very nice. I'm not even sure what Davy is thinking, Aiden's brother. There's, how many people on the planet? 8 billion people on the planet. So at least 4 billion of those are women. Why don't you find one other woman on the planet that is interested in dating and marrying you instead of your brother's ex? That wasn't necessarily a flaw with the book, because you can have a book with flawed characters. I just felt like that was a decision on the part of Davy, for sure. That was a decision. So Cheryl and Aiden have this tension that seems to go beyond being an ex, and when this tension is eventually revealed, it has to do with the fact that Aiden actually was dating a guy when he was in college, and Cheryl didn't like that. And this is where I don't know how to phrase this, because I feel like that is a big deal. It's something to be heard about, like someone you're dating doesn't accept your past, or I just felt like I was reading this and I was like, oh, this is it. I felt like it was going to be something bigger, I guess I could say, or I felt like if that was the big reveal, it needed to be built up, or it needed to be explained better. The presentation of the big stressor, the big tension, the big moment of breakup between Aiden and Cheryl didn't feel like a big reveal. It just felt kind of weird and flat, and like it was just splatted out there for us to read. I don't know. I felt like that was poorly handled. That tension was poorly handled. And if that was going to be the big thing that drew apart Cheryl and Aiden, it could have been better written so that I felt more invested in that. Also, there's this plot where Aiden wound up breaking up with the boy he was dating in college for a variety of reasons, it sounds like, but part of it is because he was apparently cheating on him for like the entirety of 4 years, and like, you're 50. I feel like, I don't know, everything about that, I felt like that in particular was not well written. That whole side plot was not well written, and I don't think it necessarily needed to be removed from the book, but I felt like that was not well executed. It's the idea of a good idea, poorly executed, in my personal opinion, because I felt like I just didn't care about Aiden's relationship with Cheryl, except for the fact that he was dating his brother. That made it a little bit more interesting, but we spent so much time on the boyfriend from college who wasn't there, who was kind of a horrible person the entire time. I don't know, I just felt like we spent so much time there. So much time there. More time there than I felt like we spent on Aiden's current existing relationship with Maggie that we were trying to build up in this book. Now moving on to Maggie, the female protagonist, her relationship with her son, in my opinion, is very weird and unprofessional. I guess professional is not the right word, but when you're a parent, you have a specific dynamic and relationship with your child. At least I think you should, to be healthy. There are boundaries that you have with your parents. Like, I don't like this idea that as a parent, you need to be a friend to your kid. You're not a friend to your kid, you are a parent to the kid. And I think parents who try to be their kids' friends, things start to get murky. And this is my unprofessional, untested opinion. I am not a parent. I have just seen friends who had parents who were parents, and then seen friends whose parents were friends, and there is some difference in outcome. We'll just say that. I think Maggie falls more into the like being a friend with her kid, but it's a weird power dynamic, and I don't feel like she acted like an adult or like a parent with her kid, and I didn't like that whole son thing at all. Also, Maggie is shown to be a very introverted woman who likes to stay home. She reads, she's an editor, so she works from home and does like the reading, she does the online gaming thing. So she's very introverted and withdrawn. And then, so I feel like she understands what it's like to be that way and to understand how long it takes to come up and open up and warm up to somebody. Fine. But then she's acting concerned because her son hasn't made a group of best friends and isn't partying hard and crazy because he's been at college for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Who here who went to college had a whole new friend group of people that they stayed friends with for the next 20 years and was in the prime of their social life in the first 2 to 4 weeks of being at college? No one, at least no one I know. Now, it's possible maybe you did run into the person who wound up being your lifelong best friend in the first week of college. It happens. But I feel like there is always an adjustment period when you move to a new city, a new school, a new situation, a new job. And she was acting unnecessarily concerned about her son moving to college and not having a social life right away, when I felt like she should have understood that he wouldn't have a social life right away, because she's not that way. She needs time to adjust. She needs time to fall into a social group because she's not very extroverted. She's more introverted, reserved, shy. And then, of course, he comes home from college and he's like, just kidding, I have 1 million friends. And I was like, I didn't like Kid as a person either. I think the bad dialogue really sealed the deal with me, but there was a bunch of little things that kept adding up that I just didn't like. This book was the book for my book club. I picked this book for my book club because I thought I already had it out of the library, so I might as well force everyone in my book club to read it too, which is probably the only reason I finished this book. And I would probably give it a 1.5 stars. I think that's very generous of me, I should add. 1.5 is a very generous assessment for me. I think the first 25% was probably a solid 3-star, and the rest of it was like a 0.5 star. It was not good. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it at all. And I think what made it even worse is it's not like I went into this book not knowing what I wanted to get, but that expectation. I wanted something good. I expected something good, and I didn't get something good. So I'm even more disappointed than if I had low expectations, if that makes sense. I thought I had found a romance book that I might enjoy and really like, and so the fact that I didn't like it disappointed me more than taking a romance book that I thought I wasn't going to like and then realizing I didn't like that, if that makes sense. If you've read Role Playing by Cathy Yardley, if you think I am way off the mark, if you were totally enamored by Aiden's relationship with Jordan, if you thought the whole thing with Cheryl was well executed, if you loved their dialogue, please put it in the comment section below. I actually like hearing what people who liked a book that I didn't like or didn't like a book that I did like think. I think it's really constructive, and it also helps me see books in a new way. So please, if you did like this book, leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. I'd love to receive them. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.